I will, after you've seen the movie, I think I'd like to say a little something about Bruce later, and it'll be very positive. I think he's a very special actor. Very special actor. I've tried to, he's been in 3 or 4 of my films. And I tried to get him more often than that, but he works a lot, so it's hard to tame him down. I don't know what else to say. I hope you have a good screen.
Well, let me ask just a quick one question each to Bruce and Frank, and then I'll ask some more questions afterwards. So, Bruce, this was your first film with Walter, and then you went on to I think 2 or 3 more afterwards.
I saw him on a set of Gunsmoke, I think, when he was a second AD. Well, were you ever an AD at Gunsmoke?
No, I was. you were not hallucinating. I was a production assistant on Gunsmoke, and you're absolutely right. I did a show where your then wife was the guest star, and she was quite pregnant at the time with the now very distinguished still young actress.
Well, that was good. I'll say one thing about my experience with Walter Hill. He came, we had lunch together one day. He was checking me out, and I had already accepted the movie. He didn't know that, but the script is interesting as that, written by him. And I know I'm going to get him. And so I waltzed around the lunch as best I could without trying to blow the fact that I thought I was going to be in the movie. I got on the set, and I will tell you this. However many years later it is, 2 things. One is he is the only director that I have ever worked with who I would go anywhere in the world to work for under any circumstances he dictated. And he does dictate. It is a chance. He loves actors. He loves the acting process, and he writes stuff that's just fabulous. And secondly, when people say to me, well, Walter, he doesn't do the things that he used to do, I said, hey, wait a second. Look at the first 10 minutes of 48 Hours and tell me that's not the most suspenseful fucking filmmaking. That other guy, whoever they were, that kidnapped those 2 girls in that bus ride. And who knew then Eddie was going to come on and, make us laugh. But that's why you work for Walter. He is full of surprises every single day. And the thing that made it best is I was excited once I worked my first day on the driver to go to work every day. And you know why? Because I thought we just might do something that's never been done before.
I just want to say this. Bruce has a way of improving dialogue. And it's very good to see Ronnie Blakely. I haven't seen Ronnie since the movie.
I have a question for Frank. This is the first of 2 films you did with Walter, both of which are set almost entirely at night. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that. How many days they were shot in, because I think both The Warriors and The Driver are reasonably short shooting schedules for how ambitious they are. And also talk a little bit about downtown LA as a location.
I actually turned the film down the first time because it was all at night, and I knew how hard that would be. Particularly shooting downtown Los Angeles. I had a nice life. That summer, things were fine. And, but then I read the script, and I got a call from a couple of people who said, I think you should do this movie because Walter Hill's a fine director and an up-and-coming director. And so I traded in a nice summer in Malibu for how many nights? Like 45 nights in downtown Los Angeles in the summer. But I thought it was curious because all my previous movies had been with Peter Bogdanovich, and in the script, all the characters had names. And this is a script where I got, and There was the driver, there was the detective, there was the player.
The connection.
The connection. And it was a very different kind of script, but as somebody, I think Edgar said earlier, it was a fantastic story. And what I always find is you look for the story. And it was a great story, and I thought, okay, I can give up this summer, and we'll go do this. So we started with that, and then it kind of parlayed itself into The Warriors, which was 69, and I remember the number, 69 nights in New York City, no days. That was The Warriors. We'll talk about that in a week or so. But it was a fantastic experience getting to work with these terrific actors, and certainly starting my relationship. And as you see, it's been a long relationship with Walter, so it was great for me.
Well, I got one other question before we start, Walter, which refers back to what we were talking about. Is one of the reasons I think this film, I think, really holds up, and I'm sure the people who've seen it before will agree with me, is because it is so stripped down, and that was definitely your style. And even I think I read a fact that Ryan O'Neal, as the star, only says 350 words in the entire film. Now, so two questions is just a little bit about that in terms of where that inspiration came from to kind of, because I think that's what it stands out from a lot of other 70s action and crime films of the same period. And maybe just talk a little bit about Ryan O'Neal's casting, because his casting was more of a curveball, because he was more known as a heartthrob before this film.
It was. The truth is very simple. Is that the number of leading actors at the time had turned the movie down. They thought it was a bit strange, the script. And Ryan was looking to do something different and to change who people kind of thought who he was. And I think I have two feelings about it. But I think that Ryan does a marvelous job in the film, and it was everything that I ever hoped the part would be. I also think, and this is one of the diabolical things about working in this business and images and all that a lot of people couldn't accept Ryan in this role because he had such a different image from other films. And but I thought he did a wonderful job. What was the other part of the question? Oh, the source of the inspiration. Well, again, I think I like these kind of movies, and I always thought the more mysterious and the spare parts were the most interesting parts. And I really wanted to see how far you could push it. And I think there are those that think I pushed it way past the endurance factor. And there are other people that quite like it. I don't think, I hope you enjoy the movie. The movie is not fun. That's not the purpose of it, the design of it. I do think it's of interest, though. It was much criticized for being too European.
One thing
I'll let you deal with that.
Well, one thing I think is interesting, and I don't know how aware you are, but and what's strange about this is because neither of the films particularly kind of seem in this aesthetic, but two of your films, The Driver and The Warriors, are probably the two most influential movies. Not only do they get, the Driver particularly, I feel like gets remade every 5 years in different forms. But both The Warriors and The Driver have both been a model for so many video games, even before the Warriors video game. And the only thing I can think of, and The Driver most notably in the game Driver. You could too. But one of the things I think is that people watching this film, they want to be in it. I think there's something about I'm sure I certainly kind of watched it and wanted to be a getaway driver after watching it. Back me up on this, guys.